on the VinceEverettEllison Show. We're going to talk about how black history is mostly just the history of black oppression and how that needs to be changed because it's having a devastating effect on the minds of America and black people. We're going to talk about that today on the VinceEverettEllison Show. All right, let's get this thing started. You know, y'all, to let history tell it, black people all over the United States of America has only had the hell beat out of them for the last 225 years. I mean, we haven't done anything except get kidnapped from Africa, ride over here on slave ships in the Middle Passage, pick cotton, be oppressed by the white man doing Jim Crow, being freed by Martin Luther King Jr., and now, what are we now? Hell, I guess we just drinking 40s and singing hip-hop music now. That's just, you know. That's what we good for now. And we need DEI. Yeah. White folks keeping us down because they won't give us DEI. And Donald Trump hates us. That's black history in a nutshell. Black folks being mistreated by white people, mostly white conservatives, here in the United States of America, and us being weak and timid and puckified and not being able to do anything about it.
Now we're entering historic Kelly Ingram Park. Kelly Ingram Park is going to become the site of the largest, at the time, civil rights demonstration in United States history. When Fred Shuttlesworth and Dr. King came together, they planned something called Project C. The C stood for confrontation. They were supposed to confront just injustices, racism, and bigotry wherever they could find it. The largest part of Project C, however, would have been D-Day, and D-Day was May 2nd. D-Day stood in short for Demonstration Day. And on Demonstration Day, thousands of young people came down to this area. When these demonstrators came into this park, they were faced with the Birmingham Fire Department using high-pressured water hoses to disperse them. But most notably, they were faced with the Birmingham Police Department. And the Birmingham Police Department employed the use of dogs. Here we have an iconic image that's been taken from an Associated Press photograph of the event. Now, this photograph circled the world, and when this circled the world, it made stops in the Kremlin, but it also made stops at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, where President Kennedy said that this made him sick. And what he did as a result of this is he called for the Civil Rights Bill. And this Civil Rights Bill was going to be more sweeping and more comprehensive than anyone proposed to that date and that time.
We will never forget.
Y'all, that's only about maybe 35, 40% true. A lot of it is true because the people that have not lived that way, Democrats don't want you to know about them, because if black people ever learn how to fight and function in their freedom properly, they're a dead party. They don't want you to know that in the Civil War, even though most of the black slaves stayed on the plantation and picked cotton and built ramparts and everything for the Confederacy, they don't want you to know about the over 200,000 black men that are listed up north. 87% of all eligible black men enlisted and came down and fought for their freedom. They don't want you to know about that. They might mention it But most people didn't know anything about that until they made the movie Glory about the Massachusetts 54th. Hell, I didn't know much about it until I saw the movie. They don't want you to know about this statement made by Abraham Lincoln when he came down to telling black people how to function in their freedom, because they want you to believe that the government sets you free, and that if the government doesn't give you your freedom, you have no freedom. Richmond had fallen. And Richmond, for those of you who don't know, it was the capital of the Confederacy. And in April of 1865, it had fallen, and Abraham Lincoln wanted to see Richmond. So he came down, and he was coming down the James River, and he ended up being on a small boat because, of course, big ships can't come up on the coast. So they put him on a small boat, and they were paddling him to the coast. And sitting there on the banks of the river, of course, were free black slaves, because when the Confederate Army fled Richmond, the slaves there could no longer be held in captivity, so they were basically emancipated, and they were there in the city. And here comes Abraham Lincoln on this little rowboat. Yeah, he was unmistakable. He's 6'4", had this beard, had this top hat on. And these slaves are looking, and Lord have mercy, here comes Abraham Lincoln. Can you imagine how they felt seeing this? And Abraham Lincoln, as he gets closer and closer, more and more freed slaves gather at this point to greet him and see what he has to say. Lincoln has no security contingency around him. He's basically alone with a few sailors and Admiral Porter. And there was a black sergeant there. His name was Isaac J. Hill of the 29th Regiment of the Connecticut Coloreds. The 29th Connecticut Colored Regiment. And Sergeant Isaac Hill wrote about what he heard Lincoln say. It is very, very profound. I've only heard this lately. I was watching a documentary on Lincoln on Apple TV. And it was called Lincoln's Dilemma. I think it's like a 4 or 5 part. And 15 minutes before it ends, it talks about this. This is what Abraham Lincoln said. He said, in reference to you colored people, let me say, God has made you free. Although you have been deprived of it, of your God-given rights, by your so-called masters, you are now as free as I am. And if those who claim to be your superiors do not know that you are free, take up the sword and the bayonet and teach them that you are. Hold it for a minute. Abraham Lincoln said, number one, that God has set you free. Well, land of Goshen, I thought that Martin Luther King Jr. said that 100 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, the Negro is still not free. And that we've come here to Washington, D.C., to demand our unalienable right to freedom. Even right now, you got black folks running around in the United States of America saying, I ain't free, I ain't free. And you got Abraham Lincoln coming and telling you, I did not set you free. The Union Army did not set you free. Juneteenth celebrates the day that the Union Army came down and told them that they were free, told black people they were free. And you got Abraham Lincoln standing there right now telling you, God has made you free. He didn't say God set you free. That's how much of a wordsmith Lincoln was. You were made free. When he made you, you were free. See, to be set free meant that you were a slave at one time. Lincoln said you never were a slave. You were made free. And then he said, although you have been deprived of your God-given rights, you were just deprived of them. It did that you didn't have them. You were deprived of them. It's like you owning a car and somebody takes your car for a while, you were deprived of it. That doesn't mean you don't own your car. That car is still yours. You've been deprived of your property. And you have a right to go get it because it's yours. This is why Lincoln was so good at how he spoke. He said, you were made free, but you have been deprived of your God-given rights by your, and this is another one, so-called masters. He ain't saying masters. Your so-called masters. He said, you are now as free as I am. And if those who claim to be your superiors, what did he say? Claim to be. Not who are your superiors, claim to be. Say they're not your superiors, they claim to be. Who claim to be your superiors do not know that you are free. Take the sword and the bayonet and teach them that you are. Did Lincoln say go do a march? Go do a sit-in? Go sing, we shall overcome. He said no. If a joker has the nerve to come up to you and try to tell you you ain't free, you take your sword and your bayonet and show him that you are. Second Amendment. Where does your freedom come from? Your right to keep and bear arms. Let's turn in our guns and let's march. This isn't what our Black history teaches us. Man, you can't go to a Black History Museum without them showing shackles and chains and whips and stocks. You can't go to a Black city unless they got statues of dogs getting sick on children, places where Black men got hung, Emmett Till memorials, Lorraine Motel where Dr. King got shot, statues in Birmingham with the dogs being sick on the children, Freedom Riders, a bus station where the Freedom Riders got the hell beat out at a bus station, plantations where they're showing chains and slave quarters, training a whole nother population on a lie that you ain't nothing but a victim and you can't do anything for yourself. So you walk around and say, Lord, have mercy, Lord, land of Goshen, we can't do nothing. And Abraham Lincoln said, get the sword and the bayonet. Teach them you're free. Well, we can't do that, Lord. They might fight back. Stay on the plantation then. All right, friends, VinceEverettEllison is here. I want you to go to my website. And on my website, you're going to see a lot of great stuff, man. You're going to see that we got T-shirts, we got caps. You got my books, my documentaries. You got all kinds of stuff on VinceSpeaksTruth.com. Go there. We're dropping new T-shirts. We're dropping new merchandise. My new book, The End of Tolerance, is there. The End of Tolerance. Make sure you get it. Make it #1. If you got my first 3, get The End of Tolerance. It's just as good. And it's telling us we have to end our tolerance with these leftists, these Democrats. We can no longer allow them to sexually groom our children. We can no longer allow them to castrate little boys and call them little girls, run God out of the public square, take away our guns, take away our sovereignty. No longer allow it. So go on VinceSpeaksTruth.com. That is VinceSpeaksTruth.com. Hit merchandise. You'll see the T-shirts. You'll see the caps. You'll see the books. You'll see the documentaries. You'll see it all. And let's keep this ball rolling. God bless you.